Hey, welcome to the Slices Podcast with Jason Pelligra. On today's show, we talk with Larry Zerner, who played Shelly in Friday the 13th Part 3. Of course, we talk about the film, but we also dig real deep into the lawsuit that is plaguing the Friday the 13th franchise. You won't want to miss it. Hey, this is Jason Pelligra from the Slices Podcast, and on my show today, we have the man who is most responsible for the iconic image of Jason, Larry Zerner. Thanks for being on the show, Larry.
Thanks for having me.
So you were an influencer before influencers were cool, because you gave Jason the mask.
I guess if that's the way you want to put it. Okay.
All right, so I want to kind of get into Friday the 13th Part 3, and there's other things I do want to discuss, but for the most part, we're going to really delve into Part 3, which is definitely one of my favorite in the franchise. This was your first film?
Yes.
Wow. So do you remember the audition process? Do you remember how you got the call to go in? And
sure. I remember everything about it.
Great.
Well, I mean, the story, I've told the story many, many times. I was, at the time, I was 18. I wanted to be an actor. I was studying theater in college. I was a freshman in college, and I had this job handing out movie tickets to movie previews, which is something that we do here in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Westwood on a Saturday night handing out tickets to a Australian movie no one had ever heard of called The Road Warrior, asking people if they wanted to see it. And these two people came up to me and they said, excuse me, are you an actor? And I thought maybe they had seen my incredible performance as Roger in Grease at Fairfax High. So I said, yes, I am an actor. And they said, well, we wrote this movie and we think you'd be perfect for a part. And I'm like, what? I mean, that's not the, when you're a pretty blonde girl, you might get that question. Not me at the time. But that was Marty Katrasser and Carol Watson, and they were the writers of the film, and they had saw me and went, that is Shelly. And
wow.
So I had an agent. I gave him my agent's information, and that was Saturday. And then on Tuesday, I got a call to go in and audition, and went in and read.
Do you remember what you read? What scene you read?
I'm pretty sure. So it was the scene in the Volkswagen. It was that portion. It was in the original script. It was longer, that scene. There was a whole chase that went on. So that was the audition scene, from what I remember. I definitely remember doing that scene. We were in the car and all that. Sorry, I don't think I auditioned with any females. I don't think I auditioned with Vera. I think it was just me doing it. Someone was reading Vera's lines. And Steve was there. Steve Miner, the director, was there. And then, so read, and then a few days later, called me back, read again. A few days later, I know I did at least 3 readings, maybe 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was it. I don't remember. People ask. I don't remember seeing anyone else there. I don't remember who else was auditioning. Though I felt pretty confident because the writers had said, like, we want you. Although I remember at one point Steve said to me, you don't have this role yet.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, all right, keep working. Yes.
I was gonna say that. I'm thinking you must have been like, things must have been going on in your head there, because people come off the street and say you're perfect for this role, and then you're reading 4 times.
Yeah. Yeah, although, when you read the script, the part of Shelley could not have been me anymore. I mean, it was,
Mm-hmm.
fat, afro, all that, wannabe actor. This is me.
Yeah.
This is all me as I was when I was 18. So if it's like, if someone was trying to write a part for me, they really couldn't have done more than that, than Shelley.
That was your real hair.
That was absolutely
100%. That's amazing. Okay, so did you, before the shoot started, so you get the role?
Yeah.
And then take me through what happens. Do you rehearse it at all, or do you just show up on set and you're ready to go?
Yeah, we had no rehearsals. There was not even a cast read through.
Really?
The first thing that happened was the first scene we shot was at the store.
Okay.
And when I got there, and then they gave me glasses to wear, and I'm wearing glasses, and we filmed the day, and they're using this new 3D technology, and it's the first time anybody's done this particular way of 3D. So they filmed the day, and then I got a call, and they're like, we're shutting down. They shut down for a week. They saw the dailies, went, that's not working, we got to rejig or whatever. I don't know what, they didn't explain it to me, but they were like, we're shutting down for a week.
From a technical standpoint, right? Not a performance.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
No, they didn't care about the performance.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Were actor performances just basically put on the back burner in this film because they had so much technical stuff to deal with?
For the most part. I mean, they were much more interested in making sure the technical stuff was there.
Yeah,
because
I figured.
It was difficult, and it took a long time. But so I came back a week later, and we redid the scene, and then they were like, lose the glasses. So that's why there's photos online of me with glasses.
Yeah.
Filming that scene from that first day. But so that was how I met Catherine, and then didn't meet the others until we filmed that. So we other than the store scene, we filmed it chronologically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then we filmed that scene, and then they filmed the Harold and Edna scenes. So that took a week or so, and then we came back, and the first scene was picking up Vera in the van, and that was the first thing we shot. And so that's where we all got together for the first time.
That's great when you can do that. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but when you can do that, it definitely helps.
Yeah, I think it really helped. It really, yeah.
Yeah. So, were you given? Obviously, you were given the script at some point. I don't think I'm breaking news on that.
After we're done, okay. Now you get a script.
But where I'm going with that is, was it called Friday the 13th when you were given the script originally?
Well, I knew it was a Friday 13th when that Saturday night. I said, "What movie is it?" And they said it's Friday 13th Part 3. So we knew.
So you did
Friday 13th. Yeah,
okay.
That wasn't a secret to us. And I think the script said Friday 13th Part 3. We shot under a different title, Crystal Japan. All the Friday 13th movies shot under the title, David Bowie song title, because they were using union crew, but not paying union wages. So they were like not doing everything with SAG, yes, but not the other unions. So they couldn't, but like Teamsters and stuff like that. Anyway, so you can't tell people what it is because the unions I guess they thought they'd get harassed by the unions.
Clearly at the time you weren't studying law. Otherwise you wouldn't have got this job.
I was not studying. No, I was not studying law.
All right. Okay. So when do you remember, like, did the script go through a lot of changes, or was what you were given in the beginning pretty much shot for shot, not shot for shot, but word for word?
Yeah. The major changes that were there, I mean, they weren't the major changes was there was a car chase. So after Shelly runs over the motorcycles, there was a chase, and they chased us. And I remember there's a thing where like I had a champagne bottle and I popped the cork and it would go, this 3D, right? Out and then hit the motorcycle wherever, Ali in the face, and then he'd fly off the thing. And then there was another where like I would stop short and the motorcycle would flip over the car. And I was like, and I think they just realized there's just no way technically with this 3D, it's just going to take forever. And so that got cut. And then famously the ending got changed multiple times.
So, but was the ending in the script? The original ending, was it in the script, or did they hide that from the cast and crew?
No, they didn't.
They didn't.
They didn't keep, but well, I don't know if I ever got the last, I don't remember if they ever gave me a version with the final, the way it worked out, because the first version was, which is in the book, the novelization, because obviously they were giving the guy writing that book the scripts early on, so there's always a dream sequence. It's always some sort of dream sequence. The first one was that Chris goes into the barn and finds all our bodies, and we're all in the barn, dead. And then the second version was the one where she sees Rick in the house, goes in, opens the door, it's Jason, not Rick, and Jason takes chops off her head. There's photos of that online. I saw them film it. It looked great from what I saw. I don't know why they didn't use it. It looked fantastic.
Yeah.
That would have been it's much better. The ending, I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah,
it's a better shot. It looked great, and the pulling Jason's mother doesn't make any sense at all. No. So I don't know what they.
No.
One day I'll ask Steve Miner what he was thinking.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny because I would love to actually interview him, because what's interesting is from Friday the 13th Part 2 to Friday the 13th Part 3. The change in story, the change in continuity, but mostly in story, is so significant. Like as far as the way from what he looks like to the way he's Jason's portrayed, and then there's a backstory in Part 3, which the funny thing is they're both Steve Miner. Like I would understand if another director came in and took over from Part 2, and then Part 3 was a little bit of a departure. But I just find it so interesting to see, like, if you're a director, aren't you really trying to stay cless to that other film that you made that just the year before? So I always thought it was kind of interesting.
I think he saw, like, he didn't like it. I never asked him, but I would go, the potato sack didn't really great. The look of him wasn't fantastic. I mean, I think they had more money. They were like, let's go to Stan Winston and have him do Jason.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's do it better.
Yeah. It's I guess we won't know unless he opens up about it. But was it a fun shoot?
I had a blast. I mean, this was the time of my life. I mean,
really,
I'm 18. I want to be an actor. I'm acting. They're paying me. They're paying me to be in a Friday the 13th movie. What? This is the best. This is the best. And even back then, I mean, it was, in 1982, it was $1,000 a week to be, that's still not bad. I mean, but in $1982, you can imagine that's like, $3 or $4 grand, and I'm 18. Yeah. It was just like, look at, like, and yes, it's so much fun. And I mean, I had done a lot of theater in my life, and where you're doing a play, you're doing, a whole thing. And we were so slow. I mean, it took, 3 months. We're doing maybe 2 pages a day. So, you never do more than, we never had more than one scene at any day.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you see, the various set pieces that Shelly's in, we just never had more than one scene in a day. So it's like, in terms of, it's just like so little in terms of how much you have to memorize for the test.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
well, how many words did I say today? I don't think there's any day where I say more than 50 words.
And you're okay with it going on as long as they need, because you're collecting a nice paycheck. And
yeah, I mean we were going, because we were going longer. We definitely went over schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it's at one point, I think it was Catherine and maybe Dana. Some of the women were complaining about how long it was going on, and I'm like, what do it was like, what you understand? They keep paying you every week. It's like, what are you complaining about? What is better than this?
Yeah.
Where do you got to be that's better than this on this set? I have no, awesome. Of course, I was with them, so for me it was great.
Yeah.
They were with me, so maybe not as good.
But you know what? I love, like I've said this before, I absolutely love it when I talk to someone who thoroughly enjoys making a movie that I grew up loving, because I wish I was there. I wasn't, obviously, but I wish I was there. I've always loved the feel of part 3. I've always loved the cast of part 3. I think it's the best looking cast in the whole franchise. But I guess that's neither here nor there.
Present company accepted.
No. You brought a nice colorful feel to it. I loved it. But no, I really get a kick out of people enjoying their time, and it doesn't always happen, right? And it sounds like you had a good frame of mind for it. So it shot for about 3 months, you said?
Yeah, I was there for about 2 months, and then the last month, because we were chronological, so the last month was really just Dana and Richard doing the chase.
And what's excuse me, were you put up in a hotel, or did you drive to the set?
Yeah, we drove. Yeah, so it was filmed at this ranch, the Values Ed Ranch, which is in Sylmar, so it's just outside what they call the 30-mile zone.
Okay.
And which is where you have to mean something in terms of unions. That's actually what TMZ stands for, the 30-mile zone. Oh. So it was a drive, but so I would just drive every day and drive back. So it was 45-minute drive in the morning.
Cool. Yeah. What's who did you have a best friend on set? Was there someone that you kind of hung out with the most?
Well, the way you're shooting, it was me and Jeff and David. I mean, Paul Krakow's Rick, he doesn't really have scenes with us.
Yeah.
So we didn't see him that much. So, and usually, there's a lot of stuff where you're by yourself. I mean, we all got along. I'm friends with Paul and David Cadams, who's Chuck, on Facebook, and Tracy. I see Jeff Rogers, who played Andy, is gone. I mean, he became a doctor, and he just doesn't. He has nothing to do. He has nothing to do with it.
I was going to ask you.
I really feel bad. I wish he would, come to convention and I think he'd have so much fun, and also Rachel, who became a psychologist. And I talked to her a couple times because we had a couple screenings in LA. She's in LA, and I tried to get her to come, and she said she's never seen the movie.
She's never seen it.
She, at least when I talked to her last time, which was,
you're kidding,
maybe the last 6 or 7 years ago.
Wow.
She had never seen the movie. And I go, well, come, and she's like, I don't want to be in front. I said, just come and sit in the back and watch with the crowd. I mean, you don't have to go up in front.
Yeah.
No, she didn't.
She doesn't realize what a draw she would be, especially holding out all these years.
Well, she's a psychologist, and she's a little I think, sensitive about that.
So we lost 2 to
patient.
We lost 2 with MDs, basically. So okay, because I was gonna.
2 doctors and a lawyer out of that cast.
I know. What was in the water in the fake lake? That's pretty amazing. But unlike they disappeared, and that was a question I had. So that's basically it. You just never spoke with Jeffrey Rogers, who played Andy, after the shoot.
I've tried to find him and just to sort of call him and see. No, I can't. I don't even know where, because its name is sort of common, so it's hard to find.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, because I'm sure a lot of other fans, you do a Google search and you turn up nothing, right? But it's unfortunate because he was a pretty popular character. Yeah. And
I know when they were doing Crystal Lake Memories, because I worked on that.
Yeah.
And I think they found him and asked him if he would participate, and he was like,
no. Well, that's unfortunate, because usually time kind of softens people up, and but I guess 40 years isn't enough yet. So
maybe next year will be 40 years. Maybe we can get him. I'm hoping there'll be some reunions.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. That'd be fantastic. And you know what? Holding out hope for something like that is kind of a fun thing too. So maybe we'll get to see that down the road. As far as, I'll get into cast a little bit later, but now it's iconic. Now it's Friday the 13th. And I mean, at the time, the first two were very, very popular. But was there a perception on set from the cast and the crew, that this is a Friday the 13th film? Was it treated any differently, or was it just a slasher in 3D?
I don't think any of the cast had seen any of the movies.
Really? Including you?
Possibly including me. Wow. This was really the pre-video era.
Yeah.
The videos were just starting.
Yeah.
So I can't remember whether I went and rented it. It
was only 2 years from the first one. I mean, that's so it wasn't a long time. You got a point there with that video.
Yeah, so there had not, I mean, there was no, it's Friday 13th. I mean, I knew what Friday 13th was, but I'm almost positive no one had seen any of them. No one in the cast had seen any of the movies. Maybe a few had seen the first one. None of us were like, it's a Friday, like it meant anything.
Not a lot of horror fans.
And obviously Jason wasn't a thing at the time either. He wasn't. It's Jason. I mean, because he's not in the first one, and the second one is, I'm not a huge fan of Potato Sack.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, he was clearly defined in part 3, and you were at the time shooting it. So, so Richard would be around in his makeup, and that's how we see him. I mean, I personally have no scenes with Richard. I have no scenes with Richard. That's true. That's true.
So
we'll kind of touch on that.
Around. I didn't really have much contact with him.
It's funny because I think of the depth of Shelly, and I'm not over analyzing things here, but he's the nerd that you root for, and that's not always the case in a film. But he's the horror fan, but he gets to be a hero. That doesn't always happen in the horror film. But my point with this is that in a series that has a body count, a mile long, you actually had a pretty well-defined character. That's kind of cool, and a male.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I mean, that's really in the writing. I mean, but that in the Friday 13th hierarchy, there's the Jasons, and then there's the final girls, and then there's pretty much everyone else. But of the everyone else, Shelly is fairly high in that group. I understand that. He's memorable. People, well, there are a lot of people who like him. There's certainly a not insignificant percentage who hate Shelly. I've heard from them. I don't take it personally. It's how it is. I mean, even though it was me, I get it. It's all right. Not everyone likes me. It's all right. But yeah, I mean, Shelly is one of the more memorable characters in the franchise.
But that's gotta feel good, though.
It's great. It does. Yeah.
It does. Good for you. I mean, You know, who were to think, like, you know, you were handing out tickets and that, you know, years later you'd be talking about your time on this. I mean, because you're pretty sought after. You know, I see you around, I hear you, and you don't, you know, shy away from it in any way, which makes you, you know, fairly accessible. And I just think that's kind of neat.
It's fun, and you know, I mean, you know, I try not to let it you know, it doesn't overpower my life. I have a
Yeah.
life, you know, but it's fun that I have this thing in my past, and it's I'm grateful for it, and I get to go to conventions and meet people, and that's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy meeting fans, and it's fantastic.
Was there a scene shot where you actually get your throat slit?
No,
No, there was
no,
nothing. It was just
no. It was always this, fake, you know, it could
yeah.
be just another makeup job. That was
So it
always,
was,
but that was always the thing. It was never, no, we
yeah.
never had this shot a scene where Jason cut his throat. Like I said, I never acted with Richard.
Yeah, that's funny. Which was a good call because it really kind of plays to the character, and again, you know, an element of your character that was pretty thoroughly thought out throughout the script, which I thought was you know, a nice touch. Were there any scenes that you remember other than the ending that were shot but didn't make the cut? In particular, any with you?
No, nothing with me didn't make the cut.
So they didn't waste any
And
time. I guess with the
Yeah.
3D, they just had to kind of stick to the script.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything else other than the ending changing, and I mean, but I don't recall anything shot that wasn't used.
Yeah. Now this was your first film, so you really didn't have a lot to compare it to, but
Yeah.
The 3D challenges, we kind of touched on them. But as a performance, how in a negative way were they affecting you?
Well, it took a long time to do things. I mean, it just, the setups were hours and hours and hours. And normally in a film, you know, you do a master and then you'll do your close-ups or your coverage. And, you know, every time it's a couple hours between setups. So it's a very slow day. So it's not, you can't really get into a rhythm because the delay is so long. You go, you shoot, and then, all right, come back 2 hours later. And if lunch happens, it's 3 hours later. So, you know, and then again, they're mostly looking at the technical aspects, not the acting. So, you know, we do a take and Steve would yell cut. And then as actors, you're always looking to the director, like, how was it? You know, is it okay?
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, sometimes he just nothing. It's like,
it's fine.
It's like, no, not even that. Like, just like, no, because anymore, like he didn't go to the lamp and say, "Hey, lamp, that was good." It's like, you're just, you know, you're just in the okay, you know, I'm all right. The 3D looked good. All right, let's go.
Yeah, that's funny. Was this like shooting in 3D? And you might not know the answer to this, but was this something that Steve Miner campaigned for, or was he told that this is going to be in 3D?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Don't
so
know.
What, you know, you got all this downtime on set. I'm always curious because, you know, again, you wish you were there. What do you do on downtime with your downtime?
I would read.
Yeah.
I had a tape player and I'd listen to the Broadway cast recording of Evita and sing along and make the makeup artist rue the day that they would place next to my trailer. You know, you talk to the other, whoever's there on set, with whatever that day is. Because the way it was set up, the house and the barn, right, which we're about a quarter mile from the trailers. So so when you're not there, you're everyone else, because the technicians are all working. So you're in your trailer, there's no one else there. Except, you know, the makeup people might be there, but otherwise no one's there. So you're just by yourself. Yeah. And there's you don't really want to, you can't really be around the set too much because you're just in the way.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, just go back to your trailer and I just read and listen to music and wait.
So then, and I'm assuming that's probably what was the case with most cast, right? You guys didn't really have a camaraderie off camera. You were just kind of doing your own thing, coming together, shooting. Did you guys party together?
There were no contacts outside of work.
Yeah.
Right. We weren't getting together on the weekend or anything like that. At least I wasn't.
Yeah.
No one lived near each other and again, the way the movie is structured, if you think about it, there's not a lot, like I have I have scenes with Vera. I have some scenes with Andy and Debbie. But and then we have a couple group scenes. But it's like then you're sort of by yourself. You're doing the death scenes by yourself. The walk to the barn scenes by yourself. It's so there's not a lot of like other than I think the opening scene. I don't have any other scenes with Chuck and Chili. Right. I'm never, and then until the end when I'm dead, and then I see Chili again, or she sees me. But right. So there's a lot of people are doing, the way the movie is set, it's like there's two people, right?
Yeah.
It's Andy and Debbie doing their stuff. It's Rick and Chris doing their scenes, and so we're all sort of separate. And I wasn't there every day either, right? If I'm right, I'd be there like 2 or 3 days a week. As the way they were filming it.
How tough was that juggling scene? How long did you shoot that scene for?
It was. I mean, I was a good juggler.
Yeah.
So the juggling wasn't a problem. It was, I remember just setting that shot up took them a long time just because of the Luma crane doing, I mean, no one had ever tried that. Let's put a Luma crane up here in 3D and shoot up and shoot down and have someone throw oranges and apples at the camera. I mean, they're just like, all right, let's see if that works. I'm
curious to know, when you're reading for the role, does it say must know how to juggle because there's a juggling scene in there, or do you is it something that is discovered during production that, hey, you and Jeffrey know how to juggle, so let's put in a scene? How does that work? Because they didn't see you at handing out tickets.
It may. I remember at one point in the script there was a thing we were going to do paddle balls. Oh, okay. Right. We were doing that, and I remember coming home and with a paddle ball and learning how to paddle ball, or practicing. Yeah. But then they realized you can't get the ball to go to the camera. The ball goes like that. Yeah. Right. That's what the ball does. So you can't. So it wouldn't really work because you cannot get the ball to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I think they did change it to juggling.
Yeah. So I guess it was just a discussion. Hey, you guys both know how to juggle. Let's do it, kind of thing.
I think I said I could juggle, and I was pretty accomplished, and Jeff knew enough that I helped him a little bit.
Yeah.
It was fine.
No, because I've always been curious about that. I'm sure that doesn't make or break an actor getting a role, but at the same time, if it's in there, but
I don't think it was in there. The more I think about it, I think it was the paddle. Cool.
So you spent about a third of the film in a wetsuit. How was that?
Uncomfortable?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was. I think when the wetsuit was at least the first day was like a medium, and I'm not a medium. And I think they had to cut out the back so I could wear it. I mean, wow. It was tight. I'd never worn a wetsuit before. And then, because the first thing was, so the scene where I pop out of the water. So that's not me grabbing her foot. That's a stunt man.
Okay.
So I just do the jump out. So I had to just get down and then just sort of jump out, and that was fun, and then and then it was, yeah, it's not the greatest thing to walk around in. I remember, well, the only thing I remember the death scene, filming that scene, it was just cold. Like,
Yeah.
it was 2 a.m. and you're just wearing that wetsuit, and the wetsuit was definitely open because they have it's cut in the back to allow the tubes for the blood. So it was not it was not thing, and it's like, be dead. Okay, all right. So that was what it was.
Were there any, I mean, it doesn't sound like, there was any, well, I mean, actually, I shouldn't say this, but, was there any cast friction?
No.
Was there? No.
No, there wasn't. I mean,
Yeah.
that I know, other than me trying to hit on the women and them turning me down, no.
Yeah. Other than that. Okay, so as far as technically now, we've heard some of the stories about the 3D. Were there some nightmares on set, production nightmares that really damaged the set?
At one point, the whole crane thing came down. They were filming, and so we had this crane, this Luma crane, which is this amazing crane that you can control remotely, and it sort of flies in, and you see those shots throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And it's on a track, so they can dolly, so they can push it, and it's supposed to be counterweighted, but it's big, and it's a picture of a big crane thing, and it was just too weighted one side and just fell over and crashed.
Any injuries?
No, but it was like, I remember, it's like, you don't want that $100,000 piece of equipment to fall. That wasn't a good day. I think that was the major technical thing.
Yeah. Was Frank Mancuso on set a lot?
Not a lot, but I remember seeing him.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. There were a couple other people, Tony Bishop and Lisa Barsamian, who were more the hands-on producers, the sort of being there. Frank was there once in a while.
Yeah. Did he, was everybody straightening their shirts when he was around, or is he a laid back kind of guy?
I had no idea I sort of just knew he was the producer, but he's a young kid. I mean, he was young. At the time. Yeah. So no, I mean, it wasn't like, he's the guy. He was like, he looked, I mean, he was just a young kid. Nobody was like, oh, gotta.
Yeah. I guess you're just.
Yeah, there was, nobody was like, oh, you have to treat this person with, like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing like that.
Was there a particular scene in the movie that you enjoyed shooting that stands out as a memory for you, that you really just kind of really looked around and said, life is good?
Well, all the stuff in the car, the chase, I mean, that was early on, but it was so much fun just to like be part of that. That was great. The death scene was just so fun to put on the makeup, and the makeup looked great.
Yeah.
So those stand out, but
it did. I want to say it did look great. It looked painful. Like it looked like you were slit with like a rake.
Piece. Yeah, it's a great piece. It's a great piece.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely one of my favorite sliced throats. I don't know if that's a good thing to say, but
okay.
But so okay, I do want to ask you something seriously. You're scripted to be overweight and unattractive, and it's illustrated in the line that you say where you go, would you be yourself if you looked like this?
Yeah.
So, and of course referring to his looks as an actor, is that like something difficult to slide into, like mentally, and also be like, how is it presented to an actor? Because I always kind of wonder. I mean,
they don't present. It was not presented. It was like, it was a script. The script.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I certainly, look, I was a fat kid. I understood that, that mindset. I've been through that mindset. I mean, luckily, I mean, I had a girlfriend at the time, so I, but I understood I'm, the, this is not, you're not the best looking guy in the world. You don't look like Andy does, so, it's not a thing.
I wonder, because like, I mean, it's even in films, where kids are a lot younger than 18. You were 18 at least, able to kind of swallow that description. But like, there's a lot of films out there where, a kid has this. I always wonder, like, how is that presented to an actor?
But Shelly's not in the script. Like, he's not ugly. That's not what they're saying. They're saying he's fat. He's got the afro. He's geeky.
Yeah.
He's not. My face is my face. I don't. I'm not Brad Pitt, but I'm not some ogre. It's
no.
It's more like the other. It's more like he feels down on himself.
Yeah.
His own self-doubt than what it is. And like I said, because I had girlfriends and I didn't have that, felt that Shelly was like some guy who would never didn't have anything to do. It wasn't, it's funny, a couple years later, I went out for a commercial and the part was described as someone really homely. And I went in and they went, "Oh no, not you." No, like you're not homely, like get out of here.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, there you go.
Yeah. So
I remember seeing that commercial. I'm like, I feel bad for that guy.
Yeah. No, because okay, and I'm not like, because again, I'm alluding to like, when you kind of lift the mask off your face and deliver that line. And the reason why is like, I'm trying to think of an example, and I did think of one. Like, there's a movie called Monster Squad where one of the main kids is called Fat Kid. And obviously this kid knows that, but I am always wondering how it's presented in Hollywood to like, is it just like, this is what it is and you deal with it? Because it just, in a time now where everything is a little bit more sensitive.
Because you're the fat. I was like, I was fat. There was no question. I mean, that's why I got the part. It wasn't, it wasn't like I'm Robert De Niro and they said, go gain 50 pounds. They're like, that's you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you. So it is what it is. I got the part. I got money. I got to be in a movie. Great.
And 40 years later, you're still talking about it.
Work with what you have.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. So I want to get into a little bit of the people that worked on the film, and we'll start with Steve Miner. What was now? I know you said he was more focused on the technical aspect, but did you have any kind of conversations with him about your character or anything like that?
Yeah, the first day he said to me, I don't want to see a character, just be you.
Yeah.
Just you. And it's like, yeah, okay, I got that, because Shelly and me are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
We're wannabe actors, we're overweight, we have low self-esteem. I get all that. I got it. I don't need to put on a character there.
Yeah.
So that was my note.
And was he with all the 3D difficulties and challenges, was he pretty level-headed on set? Was he able to kind of keep his cool, or was it kind of mounting as the production kind of went on?
Yeah, there were times, I mean, that things were tense, but it never really where he like lashed out at the actors or anything. It was more like, I'd see him, there were whatever words exchange between Steve and whatever crew people are doing whatever. It's like, all right, I'm out of this. It's not part. It doesn't concern me.
Yeah. And Dana Kimmel, who I thought did a fabulous job. You're telling me that she wasn't really too big on being involved in the production. She's gone on to say that, for a while she avoided it altogether, and since she's come out of her, Friday hiding, to do an interview here and there. But was there a sense on set that she was really just not into it from your perspective?
No. The shoot was just going on, and unlike for me, it was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Dana was a professional actress. She had done many movies and TV shows prior to that, and she's like, I'm moving on to other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just not. It doesn't have the same allure as it did for me.
Yeah.
She wasn't like. It wasn't like I hate Friday 13th movies. It was just like this thing is going on for a long time, and I don't know where she lived, but she may have lived a while away. I'm not sure how far her drive was, but she may have had a commute. I think they may have put her up at the end when they were shooting nights.
Yeah.
Put her up somewhere.
And Tracy Savage, you really didn't have a lot of time on screen with her. Did you get any time off screen with her to kind of just get an understanding of her perspective of the film at the time?
Tracy was cool. I think I remember I just like every day I'd ask her to marry me.
Yeah.
You know, she was just looked great, and but again, like none of the women had seen Friday the 13th. I don't think maybe they hadn't even seen a horror movie. They're just like, what, they're
it's
here.
It's a job.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Yeah.
And
because Tracy's mom was an agent.
Yeah.
And her brother's an actor. So she's been in the biz a long time. And I talk to her every now and then. And she's great.
And she's broadcasting. So we got 2 doctors, a lawyer, and a broadcaster from Friday 13th Part 3. That's a pretty good track record. So Catherine, now you spent the most time with her shooting. Did you guys have any kind of, I don't mean romantic chemistry, but any kind of chemistry off camera? Or was
I can't say we did, which is probably better for the performance.
Yeah.
We didn't become besties. We weren't we didn't hang out a lot off, even in the dressing rooms and stuff. She was fine. I do remember that she did just want to be done.
Yeah.
But she's cool, and it's all good.
Yeah. So fast forward.
I don't want to make it seem like anybody hated being there. It was just more
it's
just like this 2 months is turning into 3 months. And,
yeah. No, everybody's perspective is always different, and no, it didn't say. I don't get that from what you're saying.
I could have stayed there. 12 months, I would have been there. No
That's
problem.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I'd have been probably your best friend on set, because I would have been doing the same thing. As far as the cast now, some will be involved in conventions, some won't. Is there any of the cast members now that you enjoy grabbing a drink with, or is it just, that was a time back then and we've moved on?
Well, no, the problem is only me and Tracy live in Los Angeles.
Oh.
So me and Tracy went to a Springsteen concert a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had some extra tickets and I sold it to her and her husband. I think I did some legal work for her and her husband, now ex-husband. We went to a Springsteen concert. Cadams is great. I love spending time with him. He's in Seattle, so I don't see him. And
so it'd just be the conventions, though. Like, at the
conventions, it's just but I haven't been to a convention with any of them in a long time.
Really?
The last time, I think Monster Mania in 2007 or something like that.
Oh wow! Oh, that's
no, maybe it wasn't 2000. That time they had 18 Friday 13 people. It's great. It was it was great. They had all the Jasons.
Yeah, that's
all the Jasons, including from Ari to Ken Kersinger.
Yeah.
Someone from every movie. Ted White was there.
Great. Yeah. So
that was cool. But otherwise, I don't. So I haven't. And then we've had a couple screenings. We had a screening a year and a half ago of Part 3 here in Hollywood at the Egyptian, which was great. It's so rarely shown in 3D because it's very hard to show it in 3D. You have to have a special screen because they haven't digitized it. Paramount has not digitized it. So, and Tracy came, and Rob Wilson King, who was the production designer came and we did a Q&A and sold out at the Egyptian, 650 seats. Fantastic. It's great.
Right. So you and I, and it's so funny because this was my my next question for you, and you kind of touched on it. So you and I share a love of Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
I've kind of come to realize that from. So, were you involved with having the bumper sticker on the van?
No.
No.
No. Why would I be involved?
Yeah, I don't know. If you I could see you slapping it on. Were you a fan back then, or was it?
Yes, I was a fan. Because I had seen. This was after the River tour, so I had seen I saw. He came to LA twice. I saw him 3 times on the first leg and 3 times on the second leg. So I'd already seen him 6 times in concert by then. So yeah, I was already a fan.
Have you heard his latest album?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, actually,
it's good.
I thought this was one of his better ones in a long time, actually. In my opinion.
Yeah, no, it is best since Wrecking Ball.
Wrecking Ball. Yeah, I was a big Magic fan. I really like that album. No, eh?
I mean, Girls in the Summer Clothes is good, but I don't know. Yeah, it's not my favorite album.
Really, it's up there for me. It's definitely one of my favorite newer ones.
But I even traveled. Like I went to I saw Bruce's last show with the E Street Band in the U.S., which was at where the Patriots play.
Foxborough.
In Foxborough.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was I flew out and saw that. That was our last E Street Band show, I think, in 2016.
Really? Yeah.
So, and then I went to New York and saw him on Broadway.
Yeah, I'd seen him a few times, and I think the standout. Me and a couple of cousins of mine, we drove to Jersey, and we saw him and his last night at Jersey Stadium before they tore it down.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool.
The Wrecking Ball, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a pretty good road trip for sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, no, I was just wondering. I was like, okay, so he's a Springsteen fan. Maybe he slapped that on, and but it was there already.
I wouldn't even have thought of that.
Yeah.
I wish I had more say. Now I would have had maybe a little more say into my costume. I don't know that costume was. I probably would have thought more about it or had more discussion about it.
You didn't need a wetsuit. I think that was a lot of effort for Shelly to go to.
But just the outfit he's wearing throughout the film, that pants and shirt, it's kind of.
It looks good in a video game.
Yeah, but it's just not. I don't know. I probably would have had some talks with the costume designer about something else. I didn't even know, but I didn't know you could do that. Yeah. This is my first movie. Oh, you could have input into the costumes because I know Chuck and Chili. Her first costume was this red mini dress, just dress with a mini skirt and heart glasses. It was very rock and roll, 80s go-go's kind of look, and it looked great. And it was really, it really popped. And Rachel's like, I'm not doing this. My legs cannot wear this dress. And made him, said, no, baggy jeans and a Hawaiian shirt. And that's what she wore. Yeah. I think it was a mistake for her because her character would have popped a lot more if she had moved on.
Yeah. Well, clearly she didn't care. But okay, but you did have foresight on something else though. You wanted the hockey mask.
I did.
Yeah, but they said no.
They said no. So and now nobody knows where it is.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what happened to the original. There were more than one. There was 3 or 4. And that's God, they'd be worth $1 million.
Yeah.
And nobody knows where they are.
So you got to give yourself some credit for that. You kind of, had you had gotten your hands on that.
I know.
Okay. So here's a question. Hypothetical. If you got that mask, where would it be right now?
On eBay?
You need cash.
At Sotheby's? I don't know if I got held out for the money.
Yeah.
No. Well, it'd probably be like right there.
Right there, right there.
Where my uppercut mask is. This is a web I got, and you can see inside.
Oh, wow.
Everyone has signed it. Every time I go to convention.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's got everyone's signature on it. So
that is great. That is great.
So
there you go. I mean, hey, that's
actually, I do have the fake axe that from that scene. I did ask, can I have that? And they said yes.
And they said yeah.
So I have that. And it's here in my office. It's right.
Your hair's a little different though now, so it probably doesn't work. Yeah. But that's great. At least you got something from that, because it's again, I allude to it. I mean, who would have thought that 40 years later you'd be?
I have a million great memories, and what's more valuable than that?
That's that. There you go. That's a great way to put it. Okay, I do want to talk a little bit about legal. So you became an entertainment lawyer, and that's what you do today.
Yes.
When did that start? When did you decide to go that direction?
Well, so I did the movie when I was 18, and then continued through college, and never got another big role or was able to make a living. And then I kept at it for a couple of years after college, and then it just wasn't. Yeah. I'm not making a living, and this is not good. I'm 25. And my dad, who was a lawyer, said he'd pay for law school, and it was like, okay, it'll be something to do for 3 years. But turned out I was really good at it.
That's
turned
good.
out I have a knack for the law.
That's good. And what do you do? Like, what exactly? Like, what's a day, or
Well, I'm an entertainment lawyer. I'm an entertainment lawyer. I do handle copyright and trademark and entertainment law. So today I'm dealing with a couple cases of photographers whose work was taken without their permission. I'm talking to a couple of writers whose deals I'm handling, and we're negotiating their contracts. I have a couple lawsuits I'm defending from people who are being sued for various things. So that's what I do.
When you started studying law, did you know you were heading the entertainment direction, or was it a natural fit, or did it evolve?
I really wanted to do something with entertainment. I always I knew I wanted to be in the entertainment space, and so I tried to emphasize that in my taking trademark and copyright. Yeah. And so that was always something I knew I wanted to do. Great. I knew I didn't want to do criminal or divorce or taxes. Like, no, I wanted to do entertainment. So did it, and work out.
That's good. Yeah, obviously, yeah. You seem like you've got it all worked out. You got the awesome past as an actor, and now you're still in the business. Really, I mean, it's just doing something that
Yeah, and sometimes
solid income.
Sometimes my clients give me parts, and I get to go and be in movies. So
you're still open to that? I'm still in
the Screen Actors Guild, and I'm available. You're listening, and you're a filmmaker, and you want me to do a part in your movie, and you're in SAG. It's a SAG film. Contact me. I'm happy to do the right,
Or if they have a different name for it, and then they could get you in a non-union. No, I guess you can't do that, right? Yeah, right. You get a little bit of trouble there. So was there ever a time where Friday the 13th was kind of like a blemish on your resume, like, or you felt like it was just, I wasn't in that? Like, was there ever a time when you shunned it?
No. There was a period, I think, in the 90s where it just wasn't a thing. It sort of, the Friday 13th stock sort of dropped really in that, that long delay between, the 9 and Jason X, right? When did Jason X come out?
Oh my gosh, it was
late 90s?
I don't know. It was late 90s.
Right, so there was that space where just, the Friday 13th franchise had become sort of.
Well, horror in general kind of dipped in the 90s.
And then in, I think, around 2005, there was a convention at the Meadowlands. It was an old Chiller Theater, and it was like the first time they let's bring in the Friday 13th people. like a bunch. So it was like, so me and well, most importantly, Adrian and Amy.
Mm-hmm.
For like the first time, Adrian had not done anything for years because she had a stalker problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the first time she'd done something, and Kane was there, and Ari Lehman from One, and a few other people, and we were in this room. I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't even charge for an autograph. I didn't know what. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm just here, and I didn't have pictures or anything. I was just like, okay. I was just happy to, and then I found out there was like an hour line to get into this room. You know, it was like so it's like, you know, but that was sort of the line. Like there was the 80s, it was okay, and then the 90s, it just whatever. I mean, yeah, I mean, no one really cared. But then after 2005, there seemed to be like all these people had grown up on the movies.
Yeah.
And now we're like, it has become this
Yeah.
thing in the way that when I was a kid, it was the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
Right. The Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula, and to today's kids, the equivalent is Freddy, Jason, and Michael, and you know, Leatherface and whatever. But it's like the same thing. It you know, to them, I am the equivalent of Igor in Frankenstein, right? It's like, okay, that's where I am in the pantheon of movies. All right, well, I'll take it.
You know, yeah. See, and that's the thing. Talking to you, I mean, you're so self-aware. You were back then. You were, you know, going through it. Like, you know, you seem to just get it, and that is, you know, that's amazing for fans. It's invaluable because it's something that, you know, they really, really appreciate, and the fact that you get it is awesome. So I do want to talk about or get your perspective on the Friday the 13th lawsuit. I know you're like, again.
Well,
has it wrapped up?
No.
It's still going. Okay.
Well, so the oral arguments, so Victor won.
Just give a summation so this, like, people who are hearing this for the first time, you know, kind of get an idea.
Okay. First, okay, you have to know the Copyright Act says that if you've transferred a copyright after 35 years, you can ask to terminate that transfer and get the rights back. That's what Victor did. Victor filed a notice, which is allowed under copyright law, after 35 years to get the rights back to the first movie. Sean sued him, saying that under the law, he wasn't allowed to, because you're only allowed to if you were not an employee, and his argument was that Victor was an employee, not under legal principles as to what an employee is, and when you have to now analyze, you know, like, as an employee, are they paid by the hour? Are they paid by the project? Where do they work? Who supplies their equipment? Do they have set times to work? That's the analysis a court will make. Case went to the trial. The trial judge ruled without a trial that Victor was not an employee, and therefore he could terminate. Sean
Cunningham
appealed that. The appeal was heard. Oral arguments were heard last February 2020. We've been waiting for a decision. There has been no decision. I found out recently that one of the judges, there were 3 judges on the panel, one of the judges died in December after a long illness. It is very possible that is why there's no opinion yet, because he was going to write the opinion and he died, and so there's no opinion. Now they got to find someone else to write the opinion, one of these two, assuming that they all agreed. And if they didn't, I don't even know what happens. But so that's so we're waiting for the opinion. The judges can either uphold the decision, say Victor is the owner, they can reverse the decision, say Sean is the owner, or they can send it back for trial and order a trial on the subject, which would be horrible because it'll mean years more delay.
Yeah.
So
why, you know, for just, you know, an ordinary everyday Joe who doesn't understand, why is there that clause after 35 years? What kind of a benefit is that?
Well, the idea being, one, copyright lasts a lot longer than it used to. When it first started in 1776, it was 14 years, then it was 28, then it was 56, then it was 75, then it's 95. Actually, or life plus 70. So a long time, life plus 70. If you write something when you're 20 and you live to be 90, your copyright would last 140 years. That's 10 times longer than normal. So a lot of people, really, they were like thinking about musicians mostly who sign, they write some songs, they sign away those rights early on because they're kids and they don't know, they just take a fast buck. And then years later, those songs still make money and they're destitute. So because the Copyright Act got extended, the Congress said, okay, we're going to give a chance for people to get their rights back and make a better bargain the second time. And so that's the purpose of that.
Wow. So there really is, you really don't have an idea of when it could end. It could end 5 years from now. It could end in 3 weeks.
What? Yes, right. Right.
Great. That's just what Friday fans.
And even, look, the point is they still have to make a deal, and they won't make a deal until the court rules. And even if the court rules in Victor's favor, they still don't make a deal because Victor will still only own the rights to the first movie, not any other movies, not to the adult Jason. He only owns the backstory, and then he doesn't, even into the first movie, he doesn't own any rights for, and he only owns U.S. rights. So it's very complicated.
So what is so if Victor, what does Victor really want? Do you know from this? Like, because
he wants money.
Okay, because
the test is how much money. It's a tough question, because if you're making a new Friday the 13th movie and it's adult Jason, hockey mask Jason, how much money do you give Victor for that? There's no answer. There's no like, I can go to a book and find out that answer. There is no answer. It's just what do you give him half? Do you give him 10%? And then what about merchandise? If you make a Jason shirt or Jason doll, Jason figure, do you give him money? Does he get money for the hockey mask, even though there's no hockey mask in the first movie? These are questions for which there are no answers, and people just have to work their way through it. And
if Victor were to win, based on what you're telling me, would he have the right to put an adult Jason in a hockey mask in a film? Because let's just say he wants to win, and then he wants to make a franchise, whether he wants to or not.
Probably not.
So if he were to win, fans wouldn't get to see.
And because he only owns rights in the U.S., not outside the U.S. It's a weird quirk of copyright law. The termination only affects the U.S.
But what does that mean? Like,
the termination only affects the U.S. rights. So in theory, he could only authorize a movie. So he can do, if he won, he can authorize a remake of the first movie in the U.S., but it could not be distributed outside the U.S. Well, there are no movies that are only distributed in the U.S. and not outside the U.S. So in reality, no one could do a movie until Victor and Sean both agree.
All right.
And it's very possible that both will die before the decision is reached.
And then what would happen? And all joking aside, what would happen?
Sean has a son.
It would stay with Sean.
It would go with it would go to their heirs, and they would make a decision.
So, and if I'm just trying to make this simplistic in a way, as a fan, you would probably be hoping that Sean Cunningham would win. Correct?
No, well, Victor has the better legal argument.
But as a fan, I'm talking as a fan's perspective, you probably don't want Victor to win if you want to see Jason with a hockey mask in a film again.
No. I think they'll make a deal. It's just a question of.
But it's been going on a long time.
Yeah, it has. It has. I don't, and no one seems to be rushing to do anything about it. They're waiting for this decision. Hopefully it'll come down. But I mean, like I said, Victor is 80 and Sean is 79. So that's that's not young.
Yeah. Okay, so then I'll kind of leave it, but let me ask this question. Let's just say they solve that it's resolved tomorrow. How soon can a production of a Friday the 13th commence?
Well, I don't know what scripts they have stockpiled, so it's always about.
So it's just a matter of.
And who's going to produce it? Is Sean going to produce it himself? Or are they going to let it go? So the franchise is controlled by Warner Brothers, so it would probably. I know Blumhouse wants it, but they're not a Warner Brothers company; they're a Universal company. So it would probably go to. Now his name is going. The Conjuring, James Wan. It would probably go to James Wan or someone like that.
But it could. It technically, from a technical standpoint, it could, it could get resolved tomorrow, and they could be in production the next week. Technically.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So it just needs to get resolved, I guess. And as far as the video game, does it affect the video? Because the video game for a while was putting out content, and then it got.
Yeah, again, people seem to think that the video game guys did something wrong. They were told in no uncertain terms they could not add anything else to the game once the termination went into effect. That was whatever.
Yeah.
3 years ago. They didn't have a say in the matter, and now they don't. There's nobody there if it gets resolved to go back and put that stuff in the game. It's not. There's no financial incentive for anybody to do it because there's no money for people to do it. I think if they do another film, Warner Brothers would see the success of the first game, and they'd probably. They probably put out another game, or they take that game and just like they Star Wars Battlefield or something like that, and then they did a sequel, or they're doing Dead by Dawn 2 or whatever.
So they're just basically between Sean and Victor. It's basically you, and I mean you don't know for sure, but you believe that it's just a settlement out of court waiting to happen. And that's basically what Victor wants.
Whether or not, if Victor, as the appellate court upholds the verdict, which they probably will, there still has to be a settlement because again, Victor doesn't get enough rights to do anything with them. At the end of the day, they have to make a deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've said a few times, what they should do is they should send it to arbitration, and they should let Jordan Peele and John Carpenter be the arbitrators.
That's a Hollywood ending for a Hollywood mess.
Let them rule and say, this is what you get. This is what you get. Let's move on.
Yeah, but we don't know. They could be they could be ready to fight too. So we don't know. But okay, so that's kind of interesting. I because you do read a little bit about this here and there, and there was a lot of stuff that it's getting settled this summer, and the summer passed and everything. So it's just kind of good to get an update on what where we are with it, and where we are is nowhere where the fan wants to be. But hopefully, like you said, Well, I appreciate that insight for sure. I was looking forward to talking to you about that. I also appreciate you being on this show. I think this was a lot of fun for me. Friday 13th, like I said, is a very, very part 3 is a very, very it has a soft spot in my heart. So getting you on the show and talking to you about some stories was a lot of fun for me, and I'd just like to thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Maybe we'll see you at a Springsteen concert one day.
That'd be great. Come to Toronto. We'll.
Oh, that's where you are?
Yeah, that's where I am. Yeah.
All right.
That'd be fantastic. And then maybe, hopefully, we can have a conversation if this ever gets, if the legal battle ever ends, and it's an interesting fallout. We'll see. But once again, Larry, thank you very much for being on the show. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on the Slices podcast with Larry Zerner, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.